We've covered a lot when it comes to Disney royalty, focusing on the princesses. But what about the Disney queens, who wears their crown with the intent to the best she can for her people, and who is only in it for her own selfish gain? In Disney's universe, is it true that power corrupts? Well, let's find out. Yes, Queen! Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Disney Queens Good to Evil.
Victim's eyes will close forever.
As usual, let's iron out the rules. First, while we are going to try and keep this to queens not introduced in sequels, as we typically do for our Disney list, we may include one or two that we felt were worthy of being mentioned. This is mainly because there are some queens that are worth noting that don't appear until a story is developed or a backstory is revealed. Additionally, they must be in an animated feature, since that's what Disney began as, and the film must be a part of a franchise that hit in terms of success. So, let's get to it. As usual, we'll be starting with the most pure and noble character and working our way down. These women of royalty do well by their people, and they fall squarely in the good category. Kida was featured on our princess list, but since she does take the role of queen at the end of her film, we felt we had to also include her here. And it's well deserved, given the fact that she demonstrates excellent leadership skills when it comes to her society. She was one of the most powerful and selfless rulers in the Disney universe, having sacrificed herself just as her mother had in order to save her city. She took the crystal into her body, knowing full well it could have consumed her. She went through a lot to try and preserve her people's way of life, even before she took her father's place as ruler.
With each passing year, a little more of us is worn away.
She took Milo around her city to relearn how to read her language and run their machines. She's a proud woman who stayed true to her roots and her people. Given her fierce leadership and self-sacrifice, she definitely earns the gold crown when it comes to Disney royalty. Eleanor, Merida's mother from Brave, receives a silver crown on our list of Disney queens. She was a strong leader, upholding tradition and making sure to spend almost all of her time teaching her daughter Merida
It's perfect.
how to follow in her footsteps. We've talked about her on our Brave list, but we once again want to call attention to how her confrontation with Mordu was a legendary moment. It's easy to see how commanding a room comes so naturally to her, able to get even the most stubborn lords to listen to her every word. She may have butt heads with her daughter and was perhaps a bit too hard on her when it came to forcing her ways, but contextually, this made a lot of sense, since forging alliances and traditional behavior is what kept kingdoms safe in the long run. Eleanor was a queen who was willing to do what had to be done for her people and her family, and for that reason, she gets the silver. So Rabi was Simba's mother and the first queen of Pride Rock we see. She always came off as regal, level-headed, and not easily intimidated. Even when being bossed around by Scar after Mufasa's death, Sarabi refused to let herself be seen as a victim. She spoke to Scar with the same cool tone that one would use to destroy a person's psyche.
Then you have sentenced us to death.
And seeing her not flinch or look to acknowledge the hyenas as they snapped their teeth at her, definitely a power move. When her son returned, she accepted him back. Even when Scar tried to paint her son as the villain, Sarabi never jumped to conclusions, only walking up to Simba and pleading for the truth. When Simba fought back against Scar, Sarabi led her fellow lionesses to join in, taking down any hyenas that were in the way. When the truth was revealed, that was all she needed to overthrow Scar and his minions so the rightful ruler could take the throne. We're gonna place Athena next. She was Ariel's mother, and she's revealed to have died when her daughters were fairly young, having been killed by humans. When Sebastian tells Ariel about her mother, he tells her that Athena was beloved by the people, and when she passed, the whole kingdom had mourned. Her passing led to Triton being so heartbroken, he insisted on banning music and became protective of the idea of his daughters going to the surface, since that was how the former queen had passed.
Mindless, savage, harpooning fish eaters!
But we give her a higher rank, since not only was she an approachable and loved ruler of the sea, but in her final moments, she made sure to get everyone else to safety, including her daughters and husband. Given her reputation by her kingdom and the few actions we saw of her, she's definitely proven to be a great leader. Sina is next. Moana's mother is protective but also patient. Whereas her husband demands Moana not be near the sea, Sina explained to her daughter why he fears it.
He's hoping he can save you.
She helps to teach Moana how to be an effective leader, showing her all the ways the island provided food and shelter to the people, instilling a pride for their culture into her daughter. When the island began to lose resources, she tried maintaining peace and calm among the island, helping her people adjust and trying to find solutions to the changing environment. We give her high praise because though she shared her husband's fear of letting Moana go sail the sea, she also didn't stop the young woman when she found Moana packing, knowing how important this voyage was for saving their people. She was the first to see Moana return, immediately running to embrace the daughter she had feared she would lose forever. Next is Ariana, Rapunzel's mother. She isn't given dialogue in the first movie, but she clearly expresses not only love for her kingdom, but her family. Her loss was the people's loss, as they adored her. They hunted far and wide for the magical flower, and searched again when Rapunzel was taken. She comforted her husband before the ceremony, being the one to encourage him to keep having faith. When Eugene brought Rapunzel back to the castle, Ariana was the first to recognize the young woman as her daughter, not to mention her immediate acceptance of Eugene for bringing their lost daughter home to them. Aduna is Elsa and Anna's mother. While she and her husband get grief from the fanbase, we can't say we see her as a bad person. It was no doubt strange to have a daughter gifted with magic, but they didn't discourage her from using it. When Anna was struck in the head, they didn't scream at Elsa for being reckless, knowing their oldest daughter would never have intentionally hurt her sister. After their encounter with the trolls, she and her husband did what they could to try and help Elsa control her strength.
She can learn to control it, I'm sure.
She met a sad end, but protected her people and family how she thought was best during her rule. Anna, having been appointed queen after Elsa stayed in the forest, is next. Anna can be clumsy and sometimes too focused on a single task, but she cares for her people. We do dock her some points since her love and loyalty towards her sister seems to be a constant distraction from her royal responsibilities. In the first film, she hand sings off to Hans without knowing anything about him.
I need you here to take care of Arendelle.
In the second, she lets herself become so swamped, the man she fell for is put on the back burner as she struggled to balance her time managing Arendelle and her time managing her sister. While we do cut Anna some slack, it's easy to see how her desperation for people to like her and be around her may conflict with her job as queen. Nala was Simba's partner by the end of the film, and so was worth mentioning here on our queens list. She wasn't shown ruling much in the first film, but she made her skills as a hunter and leader clear. She's stubborn, unwilling to bow to anyone that doesn't deserve it. She went to look for help, knowing that the massive hyenas would be too much to face with just the lionesses.
I left to find help, and I found you.
When she found Simba, she was the one to talk some sense into him, telling him not to be a coward and to take his place as the rightful king. She teamed up with Simba and the other lionesses to take Scar and the hyenas down, showing her skills as a warrior and loyal subject to the one true king. With that said, we've arrived at the neutral territory. Many are a mix between good intentions and some considerable problems. This is the gray area. First up in our gray area, Clarion was the ruler in the Tinkerbell films. While there aren't typically what people think of when listing Disney movies, we had to include her. Clarion embodies many of the admirable qualities in a queen. She's patient, she's merciful, she's insightful, and she's wise. While not always sure of Tinkerbell or her ideas, she becomes more and more willing to hear the young Tinker Fairy out.
You are entrusted with a great responsibility.
She works hard to maintain balance, making sure to not only keep to years of tradition, but helping keep the balance of nature itself. She has a lot on her shoulders, having to keep in mind not only what's best for her people, but all of fairy kind, and all the lives their work affects. But unlike a lot of leaders she resembled, she never spoke in riddles, always trying to give clear answers when questioned. She always gave credit where credit was due and made an effort to learn from her people. She saw them not as subjects, but as more of an extended family, and tried to keep them from making mistakes she herself once made.
Thanks to one very special fairy, Tinkerbell.
Going back to an old school classic film, Leah, Aurora's mother, is next. She isn't seen for long in the film, but she is a queen who cared for her people, wanting them to be a part of her daughter's birth. She supports her husband and is a protective mother. When Maleficent cursed the young child, Leah's first reaction was to grab her daughter from her crib and cradle her to her chest, as if it would protect Aurora from the dark fairy's intent. she made the difficult choice to not only hand over her daughter, but to order all the spinning wheels to be destroyed, informing her people of the curse that was set upon her child. Ariel was given the title of queen after her marriage to Eric, but we don't see her influence her people much until after her daughter Melody is born. After her daughter is threatened by Morgana, Ursula's sister, Ariel becomes paranoid. She bans anything to do with the ocean around the palace, putting up a wall to keep her daughter from exploring the sea.
Melody can't know about merpeople or Atlantica.
She tries to help her daughter fit in with the other royal youths, throwing her a party to help her be presented as a young woman. While it doesn't really showcase her ability to rule, it does show that she easily had a knack for associating with others of nobility, which is no surprise from a daughter of Triton. She did eventually get over her paranoia, opening up the town to the sea and the bond with the mer people once Morgana was defeated. But we still don't get to see her rule a whole lot after that, so it's hard to tell the level of quality her royal leadership would eventually be. Elsa we place pretty low. In fact, she's our final gray area queen. In the first film, she caused a lot of chaos that nearly resulted in not only a war, but an eternal winter that could have lost countless lives.
Stay away from me! Stay away!
We realize, of course, that it wasn't intentional, but running away from your fears to hide in the mountains was likely not the best route to take. In the second film, she deals with more surges of her power, leading to her pushing off a lot of Arendel's needs on her sister. Once again, not a very considerate move, and leaving to spend the rest of her days in the enchanted forest while her nervous and inexperienced younger sister took over the land?
Arendel's doing just fine. Keep looking after the forest.
A conflicting choice. At the end of the day, Elsa was dealt a poor hand with a lot of the problems she had to deal with, but she really didn't take them on head first to the extent that would have been best. She grows, and we sympathize with her struggles, but Elsa is likely not one of the most effective leaders when it comes to Disney royalty. Finally, we've reached the dark side. These Disney queens are really bad leaders. Their mistakes aren't really mistakes, as what they do is intentional. They're simply evil rulers. These queens are the evil. Yzma may not have been queen exactly, but she did take the title of empress after she thought Cusco was dead. We rank her lower for how she obtained her power and for how she was seen treating her people, not caring that peasants were going hungry or that the people were poor.
You really should have thought of that before you became peasants.
She was interested in having the title for all the wealth and comfort it gave, not bothered in the least about the hardships of those under her rule. She also has no issue harassing the people in a more intimate setting, having no problems trying to intimidate Pacha's family when she's on the hunt for Cusco. The only time she's shown to be somewhat level-headed is when she and Croc are discussing dessert or when she excuses a guard for turning into a cow.
Hey, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?
But usually, Yzma comes off as driven, to the point where she is psychotic. We feel we should briefly mention another queen that was in power for a short time, Ursula. Since she had taken power from Triton, she just barely qualifies as making it on this list. But she does get the bronze medal of evil. The only reason we aren't placing her lower is because while she did a lot of damage and displayed a lot of magical power, she had it focused on Ariel in particular.
Insignificant fool!
She caused an unknown amount of collateral damage, since we have no idea who she affected with her spinning on the waters to target the princess, the raging storm she summoned, or the sunken ships that she caused to rise to the surface. Thankfully, we didn't have to see her cause more trouble, as she was soon defeated by Eric, impaled on one of the many ships she caused to surface. Luckily, her reign was brief, because we can't imagine that life under her rule would have been pleasant. Good riddance. Now let's follow the White Rabbit to Wonderland. The Queen of Hearts takes a silver crown of evil. Now, we get that in a land of nonsense and basically no law, you have free reign to do an awful lot. But beheading your guard just because they didn't help you win a game or because they planted the wrong color roses? This legitimately seems like something Kim Jong-un would do. The Queen of Hearts is absolutely mad with power, and she has an especially sadistic streak. Not only was she basically running Wonderland like an overgrown child would, but she was a coward. She pulled away from punishing Alice when the young girl grew into a giant, and then leaped on the chance again once Alice was small again, which is really another parallel she has with your standard run-of-the-mill dictator.
What were you saying, my dear?
At the end of the day, we can only hope the citizens of Wonderland one day get their revolution, so that the tables turn and they can collectively shout, "Off with her head!" Finally, we get to our gold crown of evil. The evil queen is no doubt the worst of the worst. I mean, she has evil in her title. That's pretty screwed up. But if you need more persuasion, let's go down the list. Trying to murder her stepdaughter because she wanted to be fairest in the land.
Who now is the fairest one of all?
Hunting the girl down herself in the disguise of an old beggar woman, poisoning the poor girl, and then trying to take out the dwarves seeking revenge. Yep, all pretty evil. And the craziest part is, she exerts all of her energy on this little personal vendetta against Snow White. I mean, she's royalty. She shouldn't even care about this. This woman had tremendous power, using magic and her allure to get what she wanted. We don't see her once show any concern for her people, only wanting to be seen as desirable and forgetting anything else. A vain and horrible woman, and a remarkably awful leader. Alright guys, you're up. What do you think? Who are the most good and evil among the Disney queens? Let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.